所以你記得瞄咗嗰個 YouTube 啊！如果你睇陣間睇問題嘅話，我諗過後半個鐘頭先我可以放心望住。
好唔該。
好，咁你可以睇先。YouTube 嗰邊未開始喎 ，YouTube 嗰邊得啦 ，OK。係，我哋可以開始啦，
咁首先歡迎大家嚟到我哋
大聲啲 ，sorry。
有冇？好，咁首先歡迎大家嚟到我哋今日嘅搵工攻略啦。咁就係算係3月2號我哋嘅搵工活動嘅前哨啦。咁我哋今日咧都邀請到3位嘅嘉賓，我哋分享一下佢哋喺溫哥華搵工嘅一啲經驗啦，或者係嘉亦都會分享下點樣去用 LinkedIn 嚟搵工啦。咁或者我簡單咁樣介紹一下佢哋嘅背景先啦。咁Stacey 就係我哋其中一位街坊嚟嘅。咁其實佢已經做咗全職嘅，佢有全職工作經驗有5年啦。咁一開始就係從事 marketing 嘅，咁近年就逐步轉行做科技啦。咁其實佢而家就喺一間本地嘅運動休閒服務公司從事數據分析。咁近呢3年就轉職咧，都係由獵頭公司去招募嘅。咁而我哋亦都邀請到另外一位喺Wendy 啦，咁佢就係而家喺獵頭公司嗰度工作嘅。咁佢就本身係喺 UBC 嗰度major psychology 心理學啦，同埋亦都係社會學嘅 minor 嘅。咁喺佢畢業咗之後咧，佢就開始去喺一間叫做 Impact Recruitment 嘅公司入邊去做個做 recruitment 啦。咁就係主要係 recruit 一啲由 junior去到 senior level 嘅做會計嘅人員啦。咁佢就喺呢個職位嗰度就做咗1年半嘅。咁佢亦都有好多嘅佢係另外一個嘅 direction 咧，就係from 呢個 sales 去到 internal trainer 嘅 position 啦。咁都係喺翻同一間公司嗰度嘅。咁佢而家就係個喺呢一個 position as 呢個 training and development specialist 之後咧，咁佢亦都train 咗超過50位嘅 recruiters 啦，同埋account managers 嘅。咁另外我哋今日都邀請到佳啦，就係都係我哋嘅街坊。咁佢就1977年嘅時候咧就移民嚟加拿大啦。咁佢亦都喺滿地可、多倫多同埋溫哥華、香港都曾經工作過嘅。咁佢喺2015年回流去加拿大之後咧，年之內就轉咗4次工，佢都係全部經過 LinkedIn 去揾嘅。咁佢今日都會分享多啲喺呢一方面嘅經驗嘅。好，咁希望大家都有對佢哋有簡單嘅認識啦。咁我哋或者而家由揾 CV 同點樣 prepare CV 開始去傾啦。咁其實或者3位會都分享下，其實喺準備 CV 方面，其實係有啲咩嘅需要注意嘅地方呢
？Stacey 啊
，Hello Stacey。
喂，唔好意思，我揾唔到個 mute 仔。關於我自己 CV 嘅經驗咧，我覺得主要都係即係喺我自己本人嘅角度嚟睇，我覺得係主要係簡潔啦，同埋議題啦。咁不如我就 jump in 就睇下同 Wendy 喺獵頭公司嗰方面，佢哋喺獵頭人呢個角度有啲咩需要注意啦。咁我因為 Wendy 佢本身喺呢度大，咁所以我就對答同佢方面咧，我就會用翻英文。Wendy。
Hi，大家好。
Hi, Wendy. So I think we're gonna go start using English for now. But let's chat on like resume from a recruiter's perspective. What do you think is what do you think is like a must-have component for a recruiter to look for in a resume? Like criteria that are must-haves, or what should we be avoiding to put in our resume when we're applying for jobs?
Yeah, I think there will be a few criteria you must have on a resume. Like Stacey said, you do want it to be very easy to read, and very clean and to the point. So as resumes, we have your traditional type that basically just have text, and the other types which includes graphic. I would actually say to stick with a form that is just with text. And the reason why is because some companies, they use ATS system that exports and picks out keywords, then add them to their system, which recruiters can use keywords and source these resumes. Now, if your resume just has pictures, a computer ATS system cannot read those text words. So to a recruiter, it's actually not that relevant, and it may not pop out for them. So I guess that's the first point, is to just stick with the text words, and your criteria should have a few, your resume should have a few criteria. So first is a short introduction on who you are. And then it will be your education. Next will be your employment history, and lastly, you can have a bit of your achievements and or hobbies. So in terms of your introduction or anything that are using keywords, it should include your position title. That's very important, and the years of experience you have at each company. Aside from that, though, I think a few things that some people might not know is to really highlight your experience using action words or terminologies instead of very passive language. So when I say passive language, it's terminologies like results-driven, able to be a team leader and work well under pressure. So those are some very passive terminologies that doesn't give actual facts to a recruiter and your experience. So an example for action words would be things like you streamline a process which help the company's efficiency, or to minimize on any, you minimize 20% of the expenditures. So those are very action result driven terminology.
So in terms of writing the statement of achievement or accomplishment statements, should we always include quantifiable results? Like, should we always put numbers in the statement to make the result more stand out?
Yes, 100%. Because you are probably one of the thousands of candidates out there that is trying to sell your skills and who you are as an employee to an employer. So if your resume does not stand out using any numbers or quantifiable volume, projects, budgets, you won't be able to, I guess, leverage with your skill set. So numbers is definitely a way where you can quantify your experience and tell your story to someone of a stranger or someone that, is looking to work with your talents and skills.
Mm-hmm. And also you mentioned including keywords and position titles and also years of experience in the resume. I come from a tech background, so a lot of the technical skills like knowing how to code certain languages, knowing how to use a certain dashboard platform is often included in the job description. Do you recommend for someone in the tech industry to include those type of technical skills in their resume to stand out even more, just to show that they have those technical skills in their back pocket?
Definitely. And I wouldn't say it's just for the tech industry. It goes for any industries you work with. So I used to recruit for accountants, and some of their softwares would be QuickBooks, advanced level in Excel using pivot tables, different kind of formulas, VLOOKUPs, as well, any type of Microsoft Word platforms. These are all really key assets that a recruiter or employer will look at.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Definitely.
hey, Wendy, this is Guy.
Yeah.
I just like to add a little bit because, like, in some cases, you almost have to customize your CV for your target job, so that people find all the buzzwords that they're looking for. Like personally, especially when I write a cover letter along with the CV to apply for a job, I actually look at the job description and try to match what they're looking for. So would that be a good idea also to have multiple versions of the CV depending on the position you're actually targeting? Or would you rather have a more generic one?
Oh, you're on mute.
I think you're still muted, Wendy.
Oh, sorry about that. Been on tons of these and still get mute myself from time to time. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think it depends on the reason for your job change and the level of seniority with your experience. So if you are a senior level, candidate that's looking for a higher salary, I would say tailor your resume and your cover letter based on the job description, because you probably have a very extensive year of experience where there would be less of these jobs out there because it's quite technical, and once you move up that corporate ladder, there's less of these jobs out there. So yeah, you should tailor and spend more time. However, if you're looking for an entry-level role that only is looking for 1-2 years, you know what, I can assure you there's tons of jobs out there that's looking for employees like yourself. And so your experience would be very entry-level, and there would be a lot of jobs out there for you to apply. So you don't necessarily always have to spend as much time in tailoring your CVs than the ones that is a little bit more experienced than yourself.
So what about the the length? Because I've met quite a few recruiters, like either in person or just by email, and very often, like, I think the format has changed since I guess maybe 20 years ago, and or at least. And it seems to me that people are more interested in seeing a one-page resume than a 10-page one.
Yes.
Especially, I have a summary right at the top of the first page.
Yeah.
So people can actually have a very good idea of what I can do, what I have done, right just by reading the first paragraph or actually I have it in point forms. And so without reading the rest of it, that would already give them a good idea. So do you think that that's actually the trend, or do you recommend that too, or how do you actually catch the attention right immediately with your CV?
Yeah, I think you're right. A good summary about yourself is great, and that would be just even in bullet points or 3 sentences is enough. Really, if you want to be straight to the point. So things like where your background is, in terms of experience, the software you use, the quantity of work you've done. If you're a manager, you can also include how many people you manage and what types of roles you supervise, as well as what kind of value you can give to this employer.
But when if someone is actually more or less at the entry level, what would you recommend to put in there so that it looks like there's a lot of experience, even though those may not are actually paid jobs that they actually get paid for?
That's good. I think you can put a lot of transferable skills. So if you are, let's say you have 1 year experience of a junior accountant, okay? You want to move into a senior level role or an intermediate level, whichever it may be, or just go to a lateral position to another junior accountant role. You want to, again, include your experience. That's always really important, just to really list out what you've done in that job. So it could be a junior accountant that worked with accounts payable, accounts receivable, some journal entries, and you also go to the bank to deposit. Then you also want to talk about your software experience, and then really quickly you jump into the value you can give. So that will, again, you don't have to tailor it to that exact company, because as a junior candidate, you do have a lot of options. And if you want to add a little bit of an asset and you're becoming, a CPA, you're in the CPA program doing either PEP or prep, you can also talk about that as well, and what is the how many years you have left to become a CPA.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I
no worries.
actually want to touch on Guy's point earlier about cover letter. I have followed a lot of recruiters on LinkedIn, and some of them say that cover letters are a thing of the past, but some people say it's still needed. I don't really write cover letters because it's very time consuming, but from a recruiter's perspective, is that still a thing that is needed or necessary for a job application?
I would say it's one of those things. It's as a recruiter perspective, honestly, cover letter is a little bit of the past, and that's reason because when we see a resume, we only spent less than 30 seconds looking at the resume, and then we quickly pick up the phone and call them or, shoot them a message on LinkedIn. So the cover letter itself, yes, you can tell us about your experience, but it doesn't give as much of a leverage than how you actually communicate over the phone, because essentially that's how you would go to an interview with an employer or a client of ours.
So you just said, also there's another myth that I heard is that a recruiter spend less than 6 seconds to read a resume. So you kind of busted that. You spent 30 seconds to read a resume. Okay.
Yeah.
So length is still a very big factor to catch a recruiter's eye. You probably don't want to have a stack of paper or multiple pages of resume, because who's gonna read 6 pages of resume? Right?
Yeah. I think 1 to 2 pages is definitely enough. 1 page for a junior candidate and 2 pages for a senior. And really put in only the jobs that's relevant to what you're currently in a job search for, because ideally we're looking for relevant experience. We won't be looking at experience that's too far from what you're currently looking for. And so I guess this is another myth is, you don't have to put every single job on your resume.
And also because the audience here are mostly people who are newly immigrated to Canada, so they probably don't have a ton of local work experience. So from your point of view, is local experience detrimental for getting hired for, like, say, a white-collar job? Like, where, like, should they be getting some sort of experience here? Or have you seen people who are newcomers to Canada but successfully secured an office or corporate job? I think you're mute.
I think that's definitely doable for you to get a job in the white collar space without a lot of experience locally. Because as honestly speaking, as a recruiter, if you worked overseas in, Hayes, and I know that's Hayes really popular in Hong Kong, you can get a job here no problem if you can just kind of have that communication. Accent is something that we should be very comfortable with because in Canada we work with all different types of cultures, ethnicity, and that is not an issue at all. The only thing you would need to really prove is how good you communicate, and with some kind of jobs, I think you can work in terms of a weekend job, part-time job, even a temporary or a contract position to really start collecting those local experience, and which it does not take long. Then you can quickly kind of move into a permanent job from that point on.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think like I have seen a lot of people struggling to get or to transition smoothly from their corporate job in Hong Kong to Canada. So like I think that would be a really good tip for people who are trying to get a job in Canada but struggling to find something that they like. I think that's all the questions I have for resume portion. Is there any question from the audience? Or do you have anything to add, Wendy?
我諗如果之後啲有問題，我哋可以即係晏少少可能一次過去到最尾再做個 Q&A session。咁可能我哋而家就繼續落去先。咁係啦，可能我哋即係插個嘴啦，可能大家會唔會覺得好奇點解阿 Wendy 會咁多？我哋而家其實中英台嚟㗎，而家咁可能陣間阿 Stacey 阿佳分享少少會多啲嘅中文啦。咁因為 Wendy 佢都識得聽廣東話，但係可能就冇咁流利咁樣講，咁所以而家就 more on 會用英文嘅，係啦。咁係啊，我諗阿 Stacey 如果係 CV resume 嗰邊都即係我哋頭先都傾咗好多啦。會唔會我哋可以講下關於 interview 嘅嘢咧？
不如其實可唔可以講下 LinkedIn 啊？因為我覺得即係而家本身我自己揾工啦，都係好多人喺 LinkedIn 嗰度揾我。我覺得即係我自己本身都有啲好奇，係一個獵頭人或 recruiter 嘅角度咧，佢哋係點樣揾嗰啲人啦？咁不如我哋講下 LinkedIn 方面嘅，好冇？
好啊，我就其實頭先阿 Sherry 介紹我嘅時候，佢都有提過。我喺15年回流翻嚟之後，到而家有幾乎7年啦。咁就其實係轉咗4次工㗎啦。咁就我初翻到嚟就主要都係用出邊好多嗰啲 job site 去揾啦。咁其中一個咧就係 LinkedIn 嘅。咁我覺得 LinkedIn 咧係即係喺尤其是我本身嘅行業咧就比較適合啦。咁所以就因為我係做 IT 嘅，咁行頭其實可以講話有啲比較窄，因為我喺香港做嘅時候就係喺啲 law firm 度做嘅，喺 law firm 度做 IT training。咁所以咧我都係盡量利用翻我喺香港做過嗰啲工作嘅經驗。咁當然我喺香港嗰陣時亦 雖然話喺香港做，我係做嗰啲所謂國際 international law firm 嘅，其實係一間美國嘅 law firm，咁所以亦都有周圍飛嘅經驗啊，或者甚至乎去翻嚟美國啊都有，咁所以雖然話喺香港嘅一份工咧，咁其實都係一個international work experience 啦，咁即係所以亦都即係佢哋係唔會 count 嘅，除非你真係咧喺香港同間好 local， 但係其實我覺得都冇乜所謂嘅，最緊要你可以講得出你自己本身嘅經驗啦。咁我喺 LinkedIn 嘅時候就當然初就都係用啲 free account。咁就比較有啲 limitation， 但係其實咧我一直咧都唔係因為用咗佢啲所謂 premium account 先至揾到工嘅。唔知你哋大家有冇即係用 LinkedIn 嘅經驗啦，或者甚至乎有冇用過啦？佢唔使俾錢都可以有一個 free account 啦，當然咁同埋你可以做好多 job search， 好似其他啲 job site 咁樣。但係我覺得最重要嘅就唔係你自己去主動去揾，最重要嘅就係等人哋揾到你啊。咁所以或者一陣間Wendy可以分享下佢喺 LinkedIn 佢點樣揾人，因為喺 LinkedIn 入邊其實係有3種人嘅，一種就係本身啲公司，咁佢本身啲公司佢自己都有 HR 都有 recruiter 噶嘛，咁另外就係啲所謂講嗰啲獵頭公司啲 recruitment company， 跟住第3種就係我哋呢啲揾工啲人咯。咁其實係各有各揾嘅，佢又揾我哋，我哋又揾佢嘅。咁所以係你要真係要執好過你嗰個 profile， 基本上就係你喺 LinkedIn 入邊嘅 CV 一樣係要用翻頭先講過嗰啲最重要嘅嘢啦等人哋一目了然，或者人哋做 search 嘅時候，通常我諗佢哋係用 search 係用啲 buzzword 或者有啲咩特別嘅language skills 即好似呢我就成日都有人揾我啦，就因為就算明明係好唔啱嘅，佢都係揾我，因為佢見到我識講法文，咁所以明啲工都完全都好似都唔啱 level， 又或者唔係好啱行業，佢都揾我，因為佢一 search French 佢就揾到我啦。咁又或者佢又要識講廣東話，或者要識講英文 bilingual 或點樣都好。咁所以如果你有啲咩特別嘅技能即係總之你自己嘅即係職業上嘅技能嗰啲buzzword 啦，即係所謂比較喺你行業入邊常用嗰啲字眼，係一定要係喺你個 CV 入邊，等人哋可以揾到你嘅。你識啲乜嘢你甚至乎你有啲咩如果係好似而家呢個年代係個個都用電腦噶啦，咁你有啲咩軟件識用你或者有啲咩 project 做過，用過啲咩技能project management 即係呢啲其實好多喺佢啲 job description 入邊你好易揾到嘅。咁你如果你想揾嗰類工作咧，你就要喺你嗰個 profile 入邊咧都會有呢啲即係比較重要嘅字眼喺度，等人哋揾到你咯。咁同埋你係可以去，你主動亦都可以去識人啊。咁佢其實有點樣講咧？佢有嗰啲contact 咧係分幾個呢啲叫咩？佢叫做係幾個 level 咯，可以話。譬如你直接識嘅咁就 first level 啦，已經係大家係 contact。跟住咧佢有個 second level， 即係話你冇直接識，但係你識嘅人又識佢。咁佢都照計嘅，咁嗰啲人咧，即係如果係 second contact 嘅話咧，你都可以係主動咧去 invite 佢哋，跟住俾個短嘅 message 咧去識佢哋嘅。咁我就當時就係用呢個方法咧去揾好多 recruiter， 就咁佢哋通常都好歡迎你嘅，又甚至乎我去揾一啲我認為會係 hiring manager 嘅職位嘅人，同埋我係揾啲。譬如我想揾翻 law firm， 我咪揾 law firm 入邊嗰啲 HR 咯。咁我喺多倫多嗰份工我都係咁樣揾翻嚟噶啦，直接去揾佢，佢應我，跟住傾兩傾，佢話佢啱啱有個 opening， 我又好彩啦，咁就揾到份工啦。即係變咗唔需要話真係俾錢去有個 premium account， 即係有 premium account 咧就都有佢嘅好處啦。咁如果你有嗰個想即係直接揾到任何人，你都可以 message 佢哋嘅話咧，你就係要有個 premium account 嘅。咁但係好多 recruiter 咧， 就佢哋個 account 又有啲又特別嘅，就係嗰啲所謂 email， 就係話你可以直接同人溝通嗰啲 email 啦，嗰啲 message 即係唔係 contact 你都可以 send 俾佢嘅。咁但係啲 recruiter 咧，佢哋嗰邊可能佢有個setting 啦，或者佢俾得錢咧就可以接受人哋就唔識嗰啲人都可以 message 佢嘅。有啲所謂 free 嘅 email， 咁所以你亦都可以利用呢一個方法咧，就去同佢哋溝通嘅。咁變咗唔係淨係你一個人去揾工，而係有一紮人幫你揾工㗎。咁亦都係好快速。我好多時喺 LinkedIn 都有人咁樣揾我㗎。咁頭先Stacey 都講過，佢都係有人咁樣揾佢。所以你基本上你就係喺 LinkedIn 度擺檔，可以咁講。咁就變咗你就除咗你自己主動去揾咧，你亦都係靠人哋幫你揾啦，咁就亦都會快好多，同埋亦都可以 set up 嗰啲所謂 search alert， 你自己用嗰啲 buzz 正所謂啲 keywords 亦都可以幫你揾到一啲啱啱新嘅 posting 咁變咗就 job posting 變咗亦都會令你可以快啲揾到你想要嗰啲工啦。Stacey 有乜嘢可唔可又想補充下咁咧？
我覺得我好同意你講嘅，即係你有個 LinkedIn 檔擺咗喺度，咁你執好之後咧，就有人嚟揾你。咁我覺得呢個係最慳水慳力嘅揾工方法啦。我覺得最高境界就係你唔使揾都有人嚟揾你做嘢，咁就慳翻好多時間寫 CV 或者寫 cover letter 啦。咁舊年其實都有好多，我舊年係有勁多 recruiter 喺 LinkedIn 嗰度揾我問我有冇興趣去見工嘅。咁我一個禮拜高峰期，每一日都起碼有4至5個 email 啦，咁就有 recruiter 嚟問我要唔要見工嘅。咁我覺得即係對我嚟講，我覺得當然係一件好好嘅事，但我都有好大嘅疑問，就係啲 recruiter 究竟係點樣揾人嘅咧？佢哋係用啲咩 keywords 或者係佢哋譬如 marketing analyst， 咁佢見到一紮人，咁佢係點樣揀邊一個 send email 嘅咧？咁所以今日其實都有 Wendy 喺度啦，咁喺一個 recruiter 嘅 perspective， 咁就睇下佢哋喺 LinkedIn 揾人嘅時候，佢哋會注意到啲乜嘢，或者有啲咩令到佢哋覺得呢一個 candidate 係值得一個phone screen 或者 interview 嘅機會。咁而家就轉翻英文啦，咁就同 Wendy 傾下喺 LinkedIn 方面佢有啲咩 recommendation 係要注意嘅。So Wendy, I guess the first question I have about LinkedIn, which is kind of my own curiosity as well, is how do we get noticed? Like, for example, like for an accounting job or a tech job, what kind of keywords do recruiters look up on LinkedIn to find their candidates?
Okay. So I guess how it works on the recruiter account is that we basically put in keywords like your buzzword, and we string them up together. So if I'm, looking for a senior accountant, I can have options to track their location. I can also see the type of companies they work in if I put in that specific company name. Or I can also put in buzzwords of software. So these are, quantifiable buzzwords that I can actually put into the system, and the system of LinkedIn will pull up these candidates for me in relation to, again, their location, and any kind of other buzzwords. I also have that flexibility to contact candidates that have marked they are open. So if they are open to speaking, most likely they're a little bit more keen on the job market and can respond to me. So I would target those people first.
Like the function where you check the box where it says open to work? Okay. And also, like, when you say, like, you have looked up the keywords and you found, or you have used the company that you want to find candidates from, what is the first thing that you notice from a list of people that you see?
what I notice, I think what I notice would be,
Like, is
First,
that their title, or is it like sometimes they have their job titles, or sometimes they have like a little blurb instead of a job title that they have? Like, do you look for those, or do you look for someone with a nicer profile picture, something like that?
I think the most important is the title that you hold, because that tells me, you know, what your currently your current position is. And the other thing is a section where you can put in your desired titles. So this is your next job opportunities and what positions you want to be recruited. Those are the most two important aspects. And pictures, you know, it doesn't have to be the fanciest or, you know, the photo shoot that you would have. It can be a lifestyle picture of yourself and who you genuinely are, as long as it's easy to look at. It's not like blurry, or it doesn't have a picture at all. I think it's okay.
So Wendy, are you saying that even when you don't have a job yet, you should still give yourself a title?
Oh, I see. So if you are currently unemployed at this moment, you would just, you can, I think in the section, you can say what positions you're interested in and what your last position was.
Okay, yeah, because you're actually filtering or searching using the title, or when you look at a list of people, the first thing is their title, then I think maybe it's a good idea to put in the title of the kind of job that you're looking for. Because I've seen that too, but I'm wondering if it's an ethical thing to do.
I also find, like, for myself, I'm working as an analyst right now, but my career goal is to move into a data science position. So I do find, like, if I put something like aspiring data scientist or something like a title, like Wendy said, that you desire to work towards, I think that would also help you to stand out a little bit, or give the recruiter a little bit of direction of where you want to be and what kind of position you're open to.
I also actually, in my profile, you can actually put some sort of a summary, just similar to the one that I have on my CV, right in my LinkedIn profile. Like, that would be the first thing that they read without looking at the details. So I think that will also help.
Yeah, that would help. And again, if you have keywords in your summary, the LinkedIn system is going to be able to pull your profile using the buzzwords.
That's right. Yeah. So it's very important to really well equip, I would say, your profile so that people can find you.
And in terms of the summary, should we write it in third person or should we write it in first? Like, should I say I am or should I say Stacey is?
Actually, this piece is where you can put using your first person. So I am doing you know, this current job, or I am looking for this kind of desired title as well as your skill sets. That will work.
Okay.
Yeah. Or sometimes I think it could be just a description of who you are, what you do. Yeah, that's what I have done for mine. I was try to skip all the words that are not necessary.
Very smart. Yeah, I think something factual like guide that I think would be great.
Yeah, so in my case, I started with a seasoned multilingual, technical, whatever, you know. So it's just all these adjectives and nouns that are in there. So a whole bunch of buzzwords. Some sort of this. It's almost like a phrase, but I don't have to say I am. It has to be me, right? Who else I'm not talking about.
Yeah, I think for LinkedIn, a lot of things is very similar to how you write your resume. Like you have to have the buzzword, you have to have a quantifiable accomplishment in each of your positions. But one thing I do notice that is different between LinkedIn and resume is that in LinkedIn there is a skill endorsement or a colleague recommendation section where people can write recommendation about you or whether they recommend you to work for a certain company. So is that important? Like, do recruiters look at those things and determine whether they want to reach out to that candidate, or do they just mostly look at the accomplishments and see if those fit with the job description?
Both the recommendations and endorsements would help you a lot, because what those are, they are virtual references, basically creating a halo effect on your profile. So if I'm interested in you, I don't have to call your references to see your skills. I can just look on your profile, and if your previous supervisor or colleague wrote something nice about you, that gives you legitimacy to your employment.
Yeah. I think like when I was in oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, recently I noticed that a lot of people actually post articles or things similar to what people would do in Facebook, just to catch attention. And
Yeah,
I have done something similar like a few years back. I should actually go back to it. I think it's kind of fun. Like what I do basically had to do with the productivity of a company, like how people can actually enhance their technical skills to improve to augment the productivity of the job. So I wrote something about it, and then once when I sent the article to the recruiter, and he was so impressed that he wanted to include it in my application.
Well, that's actually really impressive, because it shows me, so it shows the recruiter that you're doing your homework.
Yeah, it's basically how to sell yourself, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to be ready. You have to give all the selling points, and so I guess this is I guess the only time more is more. It's not less is more.
Yeah. Yes. Well, LinkedIn is still a virtual networking platform, and so you should get connected with, the recruiters in town or the relevant HR or the hiring managers on LinkedIn, because that's your virtual way of saying hi. Thanks for connecting with me.
Yeah,
And
that's
so,
what I said earlier. I
yeah.
actually search for recruiters. I search for people to contact, and if someone that is a second contact, then I would actually turn them into first contacts, and so that I can send them direct messages. Really actually try to, like in good Cantonese, 拗工作，拗返嚟㗎，幾份工都係拗返嚟㗎。
Yeah, and I think aside from writing posts very extensively, you can also comment on any articles out there, or comment on these recruiters' statuses or posts that they put. So it's another way to kind of give attention to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm very passive in my job search. I usually wait for people to reach out to me, but I think guys' recommendation is very helpful in terms of reaching out to recruiters, because I never thought that I would reach out to a recruiter. But putting yourself out there by writing posts or commenting on people's posts or articles really gives you a leg up on presenting yourself in front of a recruiter or a hiring manager, so that they know that you're interested, you're actively engaging with their content, you're interested in working with them. So I think that's a great way to put yourself out there if you don't have a lot of local work experience, or if you're just looking for your first job in Canada and you don't really know a lot of people working here, I think that's a good way to put yourself out there. And I think like LinkedIn, it's like what Wendy says, a virtual networking place. You get as much as what you put in there. So yeah, I also have to work on putting myself out there on LinkedIn, but that was a really great tip on getting noticed.
因為喺 LinkedIn 你係可以other than 即係除咗揾工係可以揾人噶嘛，同埋揾公司。咁你睇下間公司入邊有邊一啲人係疑似係啲 hiring manager， 或者係應該係會係你個 potential boss 啊，即係咁你就可以。我喺多倫多嗰份工我都係咁樣揾㗎，我直接去揾佢，佢係個 IT director， 咁我揾佢我即係話寄咗個 message 話想同佢 contact， 咁但係咁一兩句介紹咗，咁佢一 accept 咗我嘅 invitation 咧，咁我就直接去寫好多嘢俾佢，咁啊再去 sell 自己，咁跟住終於就約咗去 interview 嘅，咁變咗係差唔多好似係一個 internal recruitment 咁樣啦，我係直接揾到佢嘅。咁當然啦，就唔係個個肯見你，又或者唔係個個應你，但係你可以 narrow down 你本身即係你一 search 嘅時候，你用啲 keywords， 邊啲公司，邊啲 recruiter， 佢內部都有 recruiter 噶嘛，咁有好多係 set up 咗咧，係專係請人嘅，咁佢唔會即係好多時佢哋都有 account 係你係可以隨時 message 佢哋嘅，咁唔需要你自己俾錢啦，咁你會可以即係更加直接去揾到你想做嘅，即係譬如你想同呢間公司做，因為係你嗰行啦，咁變咗你就會比其他人快手啲，或者根本可能佢都未 post 個 job， 你已經揾緊佢，咁變咗啱好，咁所以或者就算佢而家冇，我都試過有啲話佢我而家暫時唔請人，唔緊要，咁你變咗你都已經俾咗你個 resume 佢，俾咗你個 CV 佢，咁變咗佢又再揾人嘅時候，佢已經有你個 CV 喺手啦。咁可能你會快過其他人咯。
係，我諗仲有一個 point 我想 touch on 或者想聽 Wendy 嘅見解，就係當有人即係有 recruiter 佢 send email 俾你啦，咁喺回覆上面有啲咩要注意咧？咁Wendy, I kind of just want to ask you what are some of the email reply etiquette that we should be paying attention to. So when we get an email from a recruiter asking if we want to schedule a call to chat about a position, what should we include in the reply, and should we always include the resume in the reply just to make things easier?
Yes, definitely. If you are interested in the position they recruit you for, definitely accept the reply, and then quickly write a response in when you can speak and as soon as possible too. Right now, there's a lot of candidates out there, but a lot of jobs too. But the jobs are very specific. So the faster you get to someone, the faster they'll see you, have that interview, and the faster you can get a job. But everything is about time of the essence. So that's one thing, is to accept and say that you're available to speak, and perhaps give a time to when you can speak as well, so they can work with your availability. And if they don't have an exact job for you, you can probably ask them for some details before you jump on that call with them.
Mm-hmm. And what if you're not interested in a job?
If you're not interested in your job, what you can do is just still accept and basically say, I'm not interested in this moment, but if you have a job in this salary, this location, please let me know. Because if you are not interested in what they're selling you right now and you decline that request, that will immediately stop the conversation between you and the recruiter. So they can't message you anymore.
Okay, so always be open and just be on the good side of the
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah, because you never know, other opportunities may come up.
Exactly.
But I do actually have just thought of something that I want to mention, and also ask Wendy about it. It's like I've noticed, like when I first started looking for a job when I first came back from Hong Kong, that other than the job description, the requirements are very, very, very specific, and they have a long list. Okay, and do you always expect to find a 100% match, or are you willing to compromise to look for someone who has only 90% or even less qualifications?
I can tell you the world is changing right now. There are, candidates out there, and it's what we call candidate-driven market. So if you have the relevant experience and you present very well in your interview with the recruiter, I can guarantee you that you can find that opportunity for yourself by being authentic, and most likely you can usually negotiate with the recruiter because they are on your side. So if you if the recruiter is looking for experience that is 5 years of accounting experience, able to use QuickBooks, and they have some kind of post-secondary. Now, if you do not have the if you don't have the software skills,
我諗係咪斷咗線啊？阿 Wendy 可能。
係喎，點解講下冇聲？
不過我都想插個嘴咧，即係除咗因為其實啱啱講咗好多關於 LinkedIn 啦、CV 啊各樣嘢，其實我都想了解多啲關於 interview 嘅嘢嘅，所以可能陣間 Wendy 翻嚟可以繼續答埋佢個問題。不過我諗陣間我都有啲問題想問關於 interview，因為我哋都可能仲有8分鐘到我哋就完啦，咁所以可能轉頭就 Wendy 翻嚟，我哋可以都 jump into 呢一個 topic 去稍微傾一下。Wendy 係咪翻嚟未啊
？Stacey 都可以有啲interview 嘅經驗分享下係嘛？
我可以講下少少 interview 嘅，我唔知 Wendy 而家翻嚟未？
或者其實我見到有個聽眾咧舉咗手問嘢，想睇下佢有冇嘢想問，睇下啲咩可以趁呢個時間嚟答。
哦，好。
或者我邀請 OK，
我哋可以講嘢啦。
好，係聽到？
聽到。
係好啊好。就其實想好快再講一講，就係我本人係喺呢個酒店管理度嘅，咁喺大溫呢度，咁我哋集團就有6間酒店，咁而家都幾需要人才嘅，咁所以就想喺度做個 quick plug 咁，起碼如果各位有興趣入行或者有啲酒店從業員有興趣，就可以 contact 我啊，我叫 Jack。
好啊，唔該阿 Jeff。係咁，你可以咧喺嗰個叫做乜嘢啊？首先啦，交流區咧有一個叫做求職升學嗰度咧，你可以留低你嗰個聯絡方法啦。咁當大家有興趣嘅話，就可以揾你啊。thank you 唔該。
好啊，唔該晒。
係啊，咁我都想補充下咧，就頭先我提起嗰樣嘢，就係話好似其實咧 Henry 都係佢有喺多倫多部同 Amex 做嗰份工啦。佢初佢都唔敢去 apply 㗎，但係我覺得，因為佢話我又唔識呢樣，我唔識嗰樣，但係其實你唔需要識晒佢個 requirement 入邊寫嗰每一樣嘢㗎。咁因為極其量佢唔請你啫嘛，係咪？咁所以佢又唔會罰你錢啊，或者又唔會話咩，你點都要試下嘅。咁變咗有陣時咧，佢揾唔到人嘅時候，譬如你10樣識咗8樣，識唔到10樣唔緊要㗎。 所以一樣都唔識咁就唔好嘥時間啦。咁但係你如果係識少一兩樣係冇緊要㗎。
同埋我都可以講插兩句嘴咧，就係講我第一個即係簽約嘅新嘅 agent 咧，其實都係喺 LinkedIn 拗翻嚟嘅。因為其實我嗰陣時我係特登去咗嗰個 agency，佢有啲 information session，咁我就結識咗佢哋入邊做 training 嗰啲人啦。咁但係佢 recruit 又係另外一班人噶嘛，俾咗張卡片我，個 email send 咗去成大半個月都冇人應咧。咁然後我哋發覺你知香港人好得起底做噶嘛，咁就嘗試抄咗負責 recruit 嗰個人。咁就喺 LinkedIn 嗰度揾佢，咁樣去 follow 個 email， 咁先至真係搞下咁就簽咗約嘅。
係啊，所以係要好努力咁去拗嘅。
Wendy 係咪翻咗嚟啦 ？Hello Wendy。
Hey Wendy，are you back？ Your mic is mute。
佢話佢聽唔到任何嘢，我叫佢再刪咗再入過，我諗佢而家都未搞掂。
我諗 unmute 咗先啦，首先要。佢而家 mute 自己係咪？
我見到有方都舉咗手想問我，如果 Wendy 佢可能仲需要少少時間先翻到嚟，會唔會我哋都可以俾各位街坊問啊？
好啊。
入咗嚟未？
阿 Sam 你可以喺頂嗰條青色 bar app 撳 accept， 咁你就可以開始講嘢噶啦。
都邀請咗。
係啦，咁佢都要係啦，佢要
accept 嘅，即係入。請講。
我想問咧，如果 interview 嘅時候咧 ，interviewer 咧問啲問題咧，其實有陣時真係答唔到，因為你唔係 100% match 噶嘛。咁呢度嘅 culture 係咪可以 accept 話I don't know this，but I'm willing to learn？ 即係呢一啲咁嘅對答係咪又 OK 咧？
我本人咧嗱，我搶答先啦，永遠唔好講 I don't know， 永遠好多時咧呢度啲人最興係點樣講咧？就係 I'm not sure， 爭好遠㗎，即係你唔好講 I don't know， 就 I'm not sure，but I think， 即係你可以俾你一個嘗試嘅答案。就算錯都唔緊要嘅，但係千祈唔好話唔知唔識就算，即係呢個係我個人嘅做法啦。唔知阿 Stacey 有咩可以補充咧？或者
香港其實 interviewer 就好記你係唔知嘅，但係佢又唔肯定呢度係咪要講呢一句嘢咯？定我問下係咪要咁樣答？
係。通常我就都會避開話我唔知或者唔識，但係即係你會可以比較叫做籠統啲，或者I'm not sure， 或者即係 I'm not exactly，I haven't done exactly this， 或者點樣好啦，你可以帶開講第二啲嘢，類似嘅嘢又得即係除非真係完全都冇，即係點講啊？唔可以。就咁話唔識，咁就停咗喺度啦。
係啊，我覺得即係我見工，如果有啲嘢唔知嘅話，我永遠唔會話 I don't know， 或者我淨係 stop 喺 I don't know 嗰度咯。即係如果佢問一個問題，如果我冇嗰一樣經驗嘅話，我會俾一個類似嘅經驗佢，至少我有啲嘢可以帶出，俾 contribute 去個 conversation 嗰度。我唔會淨係話我唔知咯，因為如果我唔知嘅話咧，就係一個 hard cut off，咁代表你已經冇嘢講啦，咁你就冇嘢可以 contribute 到去嗰一個 position 嗰度咯。咁至少你講啲類似嘅 experience， 至少佢哋都知道你有類似經驗，即使唔係。
或者甚至乎你如果有技巧嘅，可以拉到去第二個 point， 等佢轉咗個話題啊。
係啊。
OK， 明白。
係啦，搬龍門咧，
係啊，因為香港就唔係咁嘅，但係我有啲本地朋友就同我講話你唔識咪講唔識咯，跟住但係你 willing to learn， 我覺得有時有啲奇怪咯。
咁除非佢有啲點講啊？佢有啲有個 job description 嗰度寫到明嘅，譬如佢話 nice to have 又或者即係如果佢唔係寫住 must have 嗰啲咧，咁就冇乜所謂嘅。或者我話甚至好多時，你同一樣 即係嘢有出邊有，譬如尤其是軟件方面做即係好似車都好多種啦，係咪？咁你唔係淨係識揸一種車噶嘛？譬如所有你一攞車牌，你就係咩車都揸得噶啦嘛，係咪先？即係當然啦，唔係大貨車啦，但係譬如你唔一定係要揸 Benz，你譬如你揸架 Toyota，你都係識揸車啫。咁所以有陣時就要識得去點樣去兜咯。咁都係一種佢appreciate 嘅技巧嚟嘅。咁當然有，譬如你話accounting 呢，我冇用過呢個軟件，但係我用過另外一個點樣，同埋我係一個 fast learner， 仲借呢個機會去 sell 你自己咯。
OK， 明白晒，唔該晒。
我想問 Wendy 聽唔聽到我哋講嘢？
聽到。I am back. Sorry about that.
冇問題。
好，咁我哋頭先就係講緊 interview 嗰啲嘢啦 ，Wendy just to catch you up。咁即係頭先有人問，如果喺 interview 嘅時候，佢哋有一個人 interviewer 問佢哋一個問題，佢哋冇過一個 exact experience， 咁佢哋就問應該點樣做啦。咁佳同我就答咗話，你可以話 I'm not sure 啦，但係我自己本人就係覺得你應該俾一個類似嘅答案，即使唔係100% 嗰個答案 ，interviewer 係揾緊嗰個答案啦。但係如果俾類似嘅 experience 咧，咁都可以過到骨嘅。咁係啦，就係咁樣。
我同意。
So what do you think, Wendy? When you don't know, when you don't have that experience, or you haven't used whatever that application is, or how do you want to answer that kind of question?
I think the first part, what you guys said, is very important. Think about another experience that's similar to what the question is looking for. And then next is probably the more important part is how you will learn that skill set or how you will improve.
Okay.
Because
you have to tell that, yeah, okay.
Tell them that you are willing to learn.
Yeah. I think like in Canada, a lot of employers really emphasize on your willingness to learn and to develop personally. So if you have that kind of quality saying that, I take courses outside of work or I'm willing to learn, it puts you in a good position and it leaves a good impression because I feel like a lot of employers here really look at people who are willing to develop outside of work and pretty much just like aiming to learn a little bit more than what they already know.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason for looking for a job change is you want to advance in your career a lot of the times. So if you can tell your employer the process and the steps to getting there, I'm sure they will want to help you.
Mm-hmm.
我見而家都差唔多都10點啦，咁所以都想問下在座有冇其他嘅街坊想問問題，咁你可以舉手，咁我哋都可以邀請你嚟問問題嘅。咁又或者如果係 YouTube 聽緊嘅朋友啦，咁都可以喺 YouTube 嗰度就留言，咁我哋都可以睇到你嘅問題，然之後喺度問翻我哋3位嘉賓嘅。好，我見到有位街坊舉咗手，咁我而家邀請你先。我個電腦好似輕咗嘅，可唔可以麻煩？唔該。
OK 入咗嚟啦。
好，你可以講嘢啦，
Vicky 啊。
Hello。
係，你好。
Hey, I'd like to ask if actually the recruiter prefer people to be already in Canada or if I stay still in Hong Kong at the moment. Is that really a disadvantage for us?
It's a great question. So it's not exactly a disadvantage if you can tell the recruiter on the timeline on when you will be here. Because I don't know if many of you know, but recruiters can only assist with candidates that have working Canadian status. So whether or not you have work permit, work visa, or PR citizenship, all of those would be of people that recruiters can help. And if you can tell them the timeline on when you will be here, they can actually have an interview with you before you get here and to hopefully find you a job when you land.
All right. Should I put it in my resume or just in the cover letter to tell them about the status of my work permit and my estimated arrival timing?
Yeah, so if you're emailing them or messaging them on LinkedIn, you can just write them a message. So you don't have to exactly put it in your cover letter or resume.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Interesting.
呢個問題都真係好多仲喺香港嘅街坊都會想知嘅一樣嘢，係都好多人問過，我見到。好，唔該晒啊！咁我見到暫時就冇其他街坊有問題啦。咁可能我哋都差唔多 wrap up 啦。咁其實如果係遲咗入嚟嘅街坊咧，其實都唔需要擔心嘅。你可以去翻 YouTube 咧，我哋因為有咗個streaming 啦，咁佢遲啲就會可以睇翻 playback 噶啦。咁同埋另外啦，我哋12號，因為都知道可能有部分街坊即係滿額，又或者時間就唔到嚟唔到嘅。咁但係因為我哋中間都會有一個小分享，就係講翻點樣去即係關於 interview 嘅一啲攻略啦。咁所以我哋都會到時喺YouTube 嗰度Facebook 嗰度就做翻個 live streaming 嘅。咁如果大家有興趣，可以12號嘅10點半咧，咁就入去聽下關於我哋嘅即係到時嘅 streaming 啦。咁另外咧，我哋18號3月18號我哋會有個稅務 Q&A， 咁就邀請到阿 Yuki 過嚟嘅。咁大家可以見到我哋都開咗一個其中一個版咧，係可以喺留車投資 money 底下咧，咁就叫做報稅 Q&A 嘅。咁如果大家有問題，都預先可以其實喺入邊留低你嘅問題嘅。咁另外就係如果係今個禮拜六到時會嚟參加現場參加嘅街坊咧，咁就記得要準備你哋嘅衫啦。咁譬如因為我哋會影個見工相，咁譬如你會想準備你行業所需要嘅衫，譬如你要着 suit 嘅，咁就記得要準備呢樣嘢啦。同埋我哋都已經 send 咗呢個 confirmation email， 關於12號嘅 confirmation email 俾所有人㗎啦。咁你哋可以睇下你哋有冇 inbox 收到，或者會唔會有機會落咗 spam 啦。咁詳情可以 refer 翻個 email 嘅。係，咁就呼籲就係咁多啦。咁希望我哋嚟緊12號嘅 live streaming 大家可以 join 啦，同埋18號嘅稅務報稅 Q&A 大家都可以到時都會可以參加啦。咁都好多謝大家今晚 join 我哋呢一個嘅搵工攻略嘅，係啦，多謝大家。
Thank you 各位。
多謝各位，拜拜。